Hey guys, Taki and a somewhat distressed cat with her blanket. We're going to be doing a full Hellfire Citadel breakdown. I know people have been wanting this for ages from me, like where's my tanking guide? Well, here we go. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to be doing a commentary over the probably worst heroic full clear I've done of HFC in months. Just so you know, this run here was mostly with pugs and trial DPS. Well, not pugs, but we were trying a lot of DPS. So the run is a very sloppy one. So again, if these guys can get it done, you definitely can. Now, before we go into the video itself, I'm going to give you a very brief tactics breakdown, and I'm going to give you a play-by-play of what I'm doing inside the fight. So as you can sort of see, it's hidden a little bit, but there's this great big pack of mobs here. Now, the way that this fight starts is you clear this massive giant room of trash, and then this like mini trash pack is in the middle. This is the boss itself. So this orc in the middle here, you start on her, get her to a certain threshold, she runs away, the encounter itself starts. As that happens, stuff is thrown at you, you just need to handle it. DPS has their job, healer has their job, tank just AoE threat, and you'll be A-OK. So let's kind of just get into it. So I'm not the one starting Siege Master Martak, that's my other tank's job. My job is just to pick up the ads behind her. So if you'll look, you'll see me just start off by throwing in a defile. I let the other guy get in there first, just so you know he can get that definite threat vibe going. And it's just AoE, AoE, AoE. Now you see this shockwave effect going out now. Basically, don't stand in it if you're a DPS. If you're a tank, just be facing the other way and it's chill. These circles indicate that mobs are about to start spawning. The second you start seeing those orange circles appear, already start beelining towards it. Now, main priority for this entire fight is just to spread diseases and always be heading from one side of the room to the other. In a coordinated group, it's good to be calling out, hey, you get this mob, I'll get that mob. So oftentimes, you know, if I don't want to get to the other side of the room, I'll say, Adriasa, that's my co-tank, you go cover the other side, I've got this side sorted. Now, you see that vehicle in the back there? Vehicles or siege engines, tanks, whatever you want to call them, they spawn throughout the fight. And the way that this fight works is there are two great big cannons behind us, and you don't want the cannons to take damage. You can see their health totals to the sides here. If these tanks deal damage to it and they kill the cannons, it's a wipe. Now, when you blow up a tank, they drop a green little box. You don't need to worry about that as a tank. You can see it's got that massive beam effect on it. Basically, what you do is you get your fastest healer. We get our monk to do it. They pick up, run, drop it off. No problem. Now, as you've seen, there's quite a few different mob types. And once you've gotten the idea of, okay, I just need to pick up the mobs, what do they all do? So this big guy here, he's the Berserker. He basically just hits really hard, and that's kind of that. This big explosion, and you see a demon jumping out. You get these Fellcasters, and basically the way that they work is they have a Shadow Bolt volley. It hits the entire raid, and it can be interrupted, which is cool. But when they transform into the big demon form, it can't be. Now, if you watched its HP, you see it has the Metamorphosis. When it hits about 30%, it transforms, and it starts doing insane AoE damage. Now, even though this is a terrible group full of trial DPS, and this was like a really slow run, all in all, you can see these mobs just instantly dropping down. Now, if you're in a very badly geared pug, or your guild has only just started raiding, then your kill priority is Berserkers, if no Fellcasters have transformed. Terrors, which is what the Fellcasters transform into, are your highest priority, and tanks take priority over that if tanks are near the gate. Usually what I like to do is, as you see this group of ranged here, is I get all of my ranged to stack there. That way they're generally close enough to tanks coming from behind. Here they've got to kind of run over to the other side a bit awkwardly, but you know, it's not too bad. You'll also notice that I'm often like whipping my camera around. It might be a bit, you know, disorientating to watch, but the reason why I do that is I like to always be checking what's going on around in the room, seeing if more mobs are spawning on the other side, if a tank is coming. You do have timers, which you can see here, but you know, sometimes the timers are wrong, sometimes there's something going on which someone's missed, so I always like to just whip my camera around as a tank. It's quite a good trick to get into. So again, no tanks are up, you kill the Berserkers, they do a lot of damage. If a vehicle is up, that's the main prio. If a Fellcaster is transformed, that takes main prio. Now, there's lots of little filler mods. The Dragoons, basically just AoE, they do some auto attacks, that's that. Now, there are also Engineers. Engineers have a very low priority, but you do need to be aware of them. When you see the vehicle coming in, as one is coming right now, the Engineers will channel a spell called Repair, and if they keep the channel off, it heals the vehicle. So it's very important that someone is interrupting it constantly. It shouldn't be your job to do it as a tank. You can see there was one just there which I interrupted. It shouldn't be your job, but someone has to do it. So if you see it happening, just interrupt. Now again, green box is floating to the side there. One of our healers was a bit slow picking it up, but you can see someone darting across now to get it. You'll also notice there are these red bombs in the middle of the room. They get dropped by the engineers. Just don't stand on top of them. They do a small AoE. It does hit for quite a lot of damage, but just don't, stand in it and you're okay. Now you can see I was a bit slow picking up that berserker there, and actually got a few hits in on my boomkin, which was my failing. This was like my first raid after a 2-week break for the holidays, so rotationally do not take any note from that. Just kind of listen to some of the tips I'm giving you here. So as a Blood Death Knight, at least, I always prioritize getting a few Blood Boil spams out before applying my diseases when it comes to packs which have just spawned. The reason why I do that is that DPS, they like to just go really ham sandwich, and they're just spamming their Starfalls, spamming their barrages, and if you delay your pickup slightly, you can really set yourself back. Now you'll notice that even though a vehicle is charging into the right, all I'm focusing on is the ads here. That is my job. As a tank, you do not need to worry about killing the vehicles. You only need to worry about making sure that the ads aren't killing your party, because if they're killing your party, well then they're going to kick you and you're not a very good tank. So the main big thing I can kind of give you, because it's a fairly simplistic fight, it's just the same thing over and over and over again, is make sure that you have good coordination with your co-tank. If you're a class with strong AoE, just spam AoE all day. As far as trinkets go, you don't really take much damage during this fight, so you don't need to worry about mitigation trinkets. Just go for whatever gives you more cleave and just helps you AoE harder. And since there's no very heavy burst phases, when it comes to defensive cooldowns, just use them whenever if you need them, if you feel like it, but there's never a time where you will need it, on a heroic at least, assuming you've got a well-ish geared group. The times where you would need it would be if, one, you have very low DPS and they have priority targets which aren't the berserkers. If a berserker is hitting you for a super long time and you can't get a tank swap going, then using some of your soft mitigation would be quite good there. The other times you'd maybe want a really hard, strong mitigation would be in the case of multiple terrors transforming at once. So yeah, that was that. It's a pretty straightforward guide. I'm going to be doing these for every single boss. Sorry I had to wait so long for doing it. I'm Tarky, the cat's having a drink. I'll see you later. Bye bye.